André Azoulay is the archetypal princely advisor. Diplomatic, discreet and politically adept. He's familiar with the corridors of power not only in Morocco but across the international scene. Azoulay's determination to bring together the people of the Mediterranean led to his appointment as president of the Lindh Foundation, a network which promotes dialogue among countries of the region. Being a Jewish advisor to the Muslim king of Morocco, he is uniquely positioned to press for the building of a Palestinian state, which recognizes the existence of Israel.
Mr.
Azoulay, welcome to Euronews. What do you think are the main strategies which have to be implemented with regard to the Mediterranean Union?
En vue de l'organisation de l'Union pour la Méditerranée, il faut d'une part
the feeling that one side is granting something to the other must be replaced with a sense of parity. And once the technicians, the bureaucrats, the politicians have finished talking, you also have to think about the men and women you want to draw up the future.
Il faut aussi penser aux hommes et aux femmes dont on veut dessiner le futur. Donc il faut que ces hommes et ces femmes.
These men and women have to be committed ideologically, politically, culturally and socially.
The economic dimension is very important. Talking about business and trade, but in the end what's missing in Europe is a political dimension, even in the Maghreb.
Moi, je suis moins pessimiste que vous.
I'm less pessimistic than you are. On the contrary, I think right now that we're in the process together of recreating a new momentum for the Euro-Mediterranean. It's not a gimmick, a measure which would be a luxury for some people or other. It's a must, a political imperative, a human imperative. But it's also a chance for Europe, maybe across the Euro-Mediterranean, to rediscover an influence which has been partly lost with globalization. Because when you speak of the Euro-Mediterranean, you cannot erase or obscure the most difficult issues which have confronted the international community.
Auquel est confrontée la communauté internationale. Je pense notamment.
I'm thinking mainly of this yet-to-be-created peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. I'm thinking of the situation in Iraq or Afghanistan, the wider picture anyway, which is also affected by very strong tensions between the great civilization of the Islamic, Muslim, Arab world and the Western world, the world of Western Christianity.
Well, you've almost always advocated the creation of a Palestinian state alongside the state of Israel. Do you think that that time has come?
The whole world today recognizes both the legitimacy and the absolute necessity to have a Palestinian state, which has rediscovered its identity, whose rights have been restored, but the whole world hasn't got there yet. And that's not because there's a conflict of religion, not because there are religious and political leaders who have wrongly wanted to channel our respective beliefs and religions.
Ont voulu instrumentaliser nos convictions respectives, nos religions respectives, quand dans cette logique
by that logic, we're all hostages to some kind of buyout, a takeover bid for our spiritual domain, for our private convictions. You know, whatever, Muslim, Jew, Christian, in the end, we all answer to the same one up there. The way I was brought up in the town of Essaouira in southern Morocco as a Moroccan Jew was to look out for my neighbor. And my neighbor was a Moroccan Muslim. Today, in my mind, he's a Palestinian. And this neighbor must benefit from all the same rights as me. So what I'm pushing for today, just as I did yesterday and as I will tomorrow, is for a Palestinian state. I'm also fighting to protect my true beliefs. If not, it wouldn't make sense.
Well, when Pope Benedict visited France recently, the question of positive secularism was raised. Doesn't what you just said reflect that concept a little? What do you think about the idea of positive secularism?
I can only subscribe to it. But I think everyone among us must be driven by the will to do everything to ensure that these choices are not simply theories and rhetoric. We all have to apply them to our daily lives, and we must be committed to them.
responsabilité.
Le Maroc a été un des premiers pays.
Morocco was one of the first countries among the Maghreb and Arab world to instigate a process of democratic reform.
Comment maintenant le Maroc affronte la question?
How is Morocco dealing today with the return of instability, with Al-Qaeda building itself up in the Maghreb and sub-Saharan Africa?
Qui est en train de se développer au Maghreb.
Two areas which are obviously of interest to Morocco.
Ces deux points géographiques qui intéressent évidemment le Maroc.
Cette construction.
The building of this modern Morocco, this open Morocco, a Morocco anchored in its roots and identity, that's irreversible. The problems you raised just now are not Moroccan problems, they're multinational, they're international.
Qui ne sont pas marocains, ils sont multinationaux, ils sont internationaux.
They could exist eventually in Morocco, that's been considered, but they'll be short-term.
So, do you think that generally democratization and the war against terrorism are compatible?
Absolument. Au contraire, je crois que
absolutely. In fact, I believe building this open and democratic society, which is growing in its consensus to move as far as possible in that direction, is the best response.
Aller le plus loin possible dans cette direction est la meilleure réponse.